What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel, and then follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter so you guys don't miss any of our content over the course of this season. All right, let's talk some basketball. Jason, you are a LeBron fan, but you still have MJ as your GOAT. Does LeBron's superstar play extending into his 40s change that for you at all? It does. I did a bit on the LeBron MJ debate. I want to say it was at least 2 years ago. I think it was the summer after I first started with the volume. Might even have been earlier than that. But I made the case for both, and it was very simple. MJ's case is dominance. There was no player that was close to as good as him for so long, and they won so frequently in that window there in the 90s that just the gap between him and the rest of the league, it almost looks like an outlier data point, right? And so that would be MJ's case, dominance. LeBron's case is longevity. LeBron's case is, hey, there's 30 NBA GMs, and you get to pick from every player in NBA history. Like their whole careers. You get them from the day they're drafted to the day they hang them up. And this is just your first pick, so it's not in the context of another team. You have to draft a team around that guy. Who do you take? You take LeBron. Because with LeBron, I'm getting 22 years of top 5 level play. Maybe if you're being picky and you're saying like, oh, the 2023 year he was kind of rough, and his rookie year he was kind of rough, and he was, injured in the 2019 season. Okay, so 19 seasons of top 5 play. That's insane. At a certain point, by having that, I just give my team a really good chance to win a lot of championships because I have that level of consistent greatness at the top. Now, am I ready to swap my pick? Because right now I do have MJ as the GOAT. I want to wait until after the Olympics before I make that sort of stand. But if LeBron continues to lead this team the way that he has, and in the real elimination games, again, lifts this team over the top, that to me would be such a strong indicator that he's the best American player in the year 2024 at age 39 years old, which is such an insane accomplishment that you're piggybacking on what was already insane 2 years ago. And so at that point, I would have no choice, I think, but to acknowledge that. But again, I'm going to wait until after the Olympics. But I used to be pretty entrenched on that MJ 1, LeBron 2 stance, and I'm starting to soften a little bit on that just because this is getting ridiculous, guys. Jason, what do you make of Joel Embiid's comments recently to the New York Times? So those of you guys who didn't see this, and I'm sure most of you did, but Joel Embiid had some comments about how this isn't the same team that it looks to be on paper, and LeBron's not as good as he used to be, and Steph isn't as good as he used to be, and he specifically said that this team doesn't have a talent advantage, which I think is ridiculous. Like the scores notwithstanding, I think Team USA does have a substantial talent advantage. Is it anywhere near as wide as it was in 1992? Obviously not. The global teams have gotten way better. We talked about that earlier. But I do think this Team USA team is more talented. And so that comment is just strange because it's underselling your teammates to try to it's like a weird kind of like pressure deflecting type of comment. That to me is silly. Like this team should win. It's a disaster if they don't. They absolutely have a huge talent advantage. The second piece of it was Embiid said that he thought he could potentially have been the GOAT had he not been injured. And here's the thing. Yeah, maybe. But like we've all been there. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I haven't tried to make an excuse in my life. I've had bad days at the gym where I'm in the car on the way home and I'm like, I'm dealing with XYZ and this is why I'm not playing well. Like, I get busy with work sometimes and I just don't get to go to the gym a lot, and then I'll go to the gym and I won't be as good as I usually am. And I'll be like, I hate being this busy because I don't get to work on my game as much as I want to. Here's what I've discovered. And I guarantee you guys have all discovered the same thing in your journeys. People don't care about excuses. They never have. When you're at the gym and you're busting someone's ass and he says something about, oh, my legs are sore. Oh, I'm dealing with this injury. You don't give a fuck. Like, no one cares about excuses. And that's just, that's why it's such a loser mentality. Like, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, maybe you were the GOAT. Maybe these injuries have derailed a potentially all-time great type of career. But the reality is time and time again, you get to those spots and you can't come through. And I guarantee you, as you're getting pull-up threes put in your face by Jason Tatum in Game 7, or as you're, that was just the defensive end of the floor, as you look scared to make a post move against Al Horford, no one's sitting there going like, that guy could have been the GOAT, but he just had some injuries. No, they're going, what the hell's wrong with Joel Embiid? People don't care about excuses. And that's the thing. Excuses are real. There are real reasons why things go the way that they go. Absolutely, there are factors that can affect your performance. But expecting, like, putting that energy into the public serves no purpose. You know what I'd like to hear? I'd like to hear nothing. As Joel Embiid privately goes, I have unfulfilled potential, and this is the year that I get it all taken care of. I come in crazy good shape, and I figure it all out, and I kick everyone's ass. If you're that type of talent, show us. The world will rally around you as soon as you do. But like, yeah, putting that energy out there in the public that like, oh, like, what if this, what if that? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. They never have. If you go about life expecting to get pats on the back and support for what's going on that's causing you problems, like, people don't care. They just don't. They only care about themselves and their family and advancing their own interests. That's the only thing people care about. I know it's kind of nihilistic, but it's just what I think is what I think to be the truth. Jason, you said on Twitter the other day that you think the 2020 Lakers would beat the 2024 Celtics in a series. Can you explain why? So I tweeted this out the other day, and I didn't think it was that big of a deal, and then everyone freaked out. But I want to kind of get into some of the specifics here because I don't think it's as crazy as people are making it sound. First of all, the 2020 Lakers were also a dominant basketball team. The 2024 Celtics were more dominant on paper for sure. They won more games. They had a larger net rating. But there's context there. Playing in a historically weak Eastern Conference, the Western Conference won the vast majority of games and head-to-head matchups against the East this last year. That's going to inflate net rating statistics. It just is. You're playing more lesser teams in the Eastern Conference. That's going to inflate your advanced metrics. That's going to make things a little bit easier, right? But even though the Celtics were more dominant on paper than the 2020 Lakers, the 2020 Lakers were also insanely dominant. Here are some basic stats to express that for you. The 2020 Lakers started 24-3, guys. 24-3. They won 24 of their first 27 games. They won before the stoppage. When COVID shut down the season, they were winning at a 64-win pace. Guess how many games the Celtics won? 64. And the Lakers did it in a substantially tougher conference. In this playoff run, the Celtics had a plus 15 net rating in their 16 wins, meaning they won by an average of 15 points per 100 possessions. The Lakers were plus 12. That's also super dominant. So like the idea that there is like this chasm between these two champions and what they accomplished within their seasons is silly. As far as like their playoff runs, like, do I think that the Celtics played a tougher team in the NBA Finals? Absolutely. That Dallas Mavericks team was a tougher team than the banged up Miami Heat team that the Lakers played in 2020. But if you stack up all the teams, Dame and CJ McCollum in round one, James Harden at the peak of his powers, and Russell Westbrook in the second round, Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, the same team that beat that Clippers team that everyone swore was the best team in the league. Like, LeBron and the Lakers executed those guys. Put them out of there in 5. So, like, I believe the Lakers played tougher teams overall in that playoff run. Not that it matters. All I care about is the 2020 Lakers on a basketball court for a 7-game series against the 2024 Celtics. Who's going to win? I've got the 2 best players in the series. Anthony Davis was a better basketball player in the 2020 playoffs than either of Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. He just was. LeBron James was the best basketball player alive in 2020. Those are the 2 best players in the series. Okay, let's talk about matchups. What is Boston's biggest advantage? They can space you out and drive and kick you to death. Well, what is the closing five for that Los Angeles Lakers team? Alex Caruso, elite perimeter defender with size. KCP, elite perimeter defender with size. Danny Green, very good perimeter defender with size. LeBron James, who in 2020 was still one of the best defensive players in the league, and that was one of his best defensive seasons. It was better than all of his seasons in Cleveland. And Anthony Davis, who was the best defensive player alive. That team is constructed to guard the Boston Celtics. All big, mobile perimeter defenders and a super versatile front line. And then on the other end of the floor, yes, Boston was an elite perimeter defense team, but LeBron James and Anthony Davis are matchup nightmares for them on the front line. Anthony Davis would have given Kristaps Porzingis fits on the low block, especially in that 2020 season. LeBron James, there's not a guy on the Celtics that could have guarded him in 2020. So, in my opinion, I've got the best players in the series. In terms of the X's and O's, the Lakers match up extremely well. I just think that 2020 Lakers team is the best basketball team that I've seen since the 2018 Warriors with Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. I've said that consistently. We got to get a little bit into the basketball today. I expect you guys to disagree. If you're a Celtics fan, lay it out in the comments. You guys know I read the comments. Jason, here's why you're wrong. X, Y, Z. Basketball, basketball, basketball. If you just tell me, they were the most dominant team this season, I don't care about that. There's not a metric that the Celtics did this year that is substantially more impressive than what the 2020 Lakers did. So, if you have a basketball case, I want to hear it. Let's get into it. Let's debate a little bit. But I believe the 2020 Lakers would beat the 2024 Celtics in a playoff series.